Hey, welcome everybody to the Keeping It 100 podcast, Legendary Legacies Presents. We're excited to continue in our second season. You know how we do. I'm here, Ron, my man Gabe is. Y'all see some people on the camera, some new folks. We'll introduce you to them in a little bit as we get into our next interview. But you know how we kick off every podcast is how are you living legendary? And living legendary for me is this week is about how I've been pushing myself to study for my real estate exam. So I got that coming up next week. I took it a couple weeks ago, and I fell short by a couple points. Hey, but listen, we don't stay down, right? We get back up, we learn, and we keep growing. Failure is not an option. And so I've been studying real hard and get ready to take that on the 30th. And I'm excited, man, to get my real estate license and see what's going on with that. So that's how I'm living legendary. Gabe, how are you living legendary?
For sure. What's up, guys? So I'm living legendary by, all right, so I've been going to a church, right? Connect Church out in Ashland. Great church, all that stuff is just a little bit too far for me. So the way I'm living legendary, tongue twisted there. Is by just committing myself to trying to find a place a little closer, but a place that I could call home, man, that I could get connected and grounded, with guys my age, and just live life, man, and put God first, man, and just making that the center. Just trying to find that, man. Committing myself to trying to find that. That's how I'm living legendary.
That's what's up. And so with that, we want to welcome in our guest today. Tom is Blanford, the founder of Team Excel Ministries, along with his business partner, Steve, here in the building. We want to welcome you guys in. Thank you for being on the podcast with us today. We're going to learn a little bit more about your story and how you got here. But how you living legendary this week, guys? Like, what are y'all doing that's really like helping y'all grow, or the past week where you guys see that you're really trying to do your best and live to your fullest God-given potential?
I'm living legend. First of all, thank you for having me here. Both Yvonne and Gabe, thank you. And I'm declaring that you're going to get your real estate license the next time you take that test.
All right. We receive it.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
I'm living legendary because we started a ministry about 13 years ago called Team Excel Ministries, and we were meeting out in parks and prisons and jails and street corners and railroad tracks, and my apartment. And the ministry has outgrown the apartment, and then now we are moving it into Connect Community Church in Ashland, Massachusetts, and it is expanding, and we are creating great leaders out of it, people that work with disenfranchised other people. And we're going to be, from that, we plan to expand it throughout Massachusetts, throughout New England, and prayerfully throughout the world if we can.
Hey, man, that's what's up, man. That's what's
Amen.
up. Appreciate you.
Amen.
Steve,
Thank
how
you.
you living legendary?
I'm living legendary by continuing to expand my view of Christianity.
Okay.
Because in a sense, I've always been doing that, but now I've run into a bunch of, wacko Christians, led by this guy. And so I'm finding that there's Christianity all around me if I'm just willing to see it.
For sure.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
Hey, well, Tom, man, I want to get into, this season, what we really wanted to do was highlight people's stories that are in and around and connected to the work that we do. At Legendary, we work with young men, 16 and older, who kind of fit one of three categories. Either you're recently returning from incarceration, significantly or somehow connected in some sort of gang activity, or have a history or current substance use disorder. That's what we work with. And one of the things, man, like our first season, we dove into some topics, but we realized that a lot of folks who aren't close to this work have a short-sighted view of the brothers we're working with, and really only kind of know them as the worst thing that ever happened, right? The only time you know about them, you see them in the court record. You saw something there on the news or whatever. So you like, it's a bad person, ain't no good. And so why we wanted to bring you on, not only just because of the brilliance and the stuff you're doing with Team Excel Ministry, but like who you are and like how you even got to Team Excel Ministry, man. So like one of our favorite questions to ask at Legendary is, how did you get here? Like how did you get here?
Short answer, God.
All right.
Well,
We're going to wrap up, guys. We thank you for joining us. Nah.
You know, when people ask me that, Ron, really, seriously, I have to say God, because I've tried. I've been in jail. I've been in prison. I've been on the streets. I've been in rehabilitation centers. All that was a joke. It was a joke. I played that whole system. And when I got serious about changing my life, that's when God got serious about helping me change my life. You and I were talking earlier,
Yeah.
and back in my day, man, we used to, I was really in it. I was an alcoholic, a drug addict. I prostituted myself. I prostituted women that I supposedly loved, and I was telling Steve, him the same way when you're in it, when you're doing your dirt, the same way you need to be in it when you're searching to come out of it. You have to be involved. You have to get in there. You have to be deep. So I got here by a lot of different mentors that God put in my life. I hear people say they have a life coach or a mentor. I had about 7.
All right.
Because I needed that many. I had men from the church. I had men from the business world. I was blessed that every single one of those men were all God-fearing men in my life. They were all born-again Christian men. But they were straight, down to earth. They didn't play around. And if you played around with them, you were cut off. That was it. They were not a joke. And they're still not to this day.
Yeah.
So I just thank God, man, that they stuck with me throughout the years that it took me to come up out of this, and they fought with me. My father threw me out when I was 15, for crying out loud, man.
Listen, Tom, you said something so important, man. You said it took years.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that we're always stressing here is like the work we're doing is not a short term. It don't fit no typical cycle. Like, oh, it's a 6-month little thing. And so I love that you said that, but I'm also wondering, like, could you share to the degree you can, like, how you got in it? Like, you were saying you were in it.
Yeah.
And you put your energy now into really promoting the gospel and doing things and helping those who are on the other side. But really, like we were talking earlier too, and being like, hey, the picture of who Thomas Blanford is not just this. Like, you didn't wake up and say, hey, man, I want to be alcoholic. Hey, man, I want to prostitute myself.
Right.
Like, how, can you just talk a little bit, like, how does...
Well, I grew up in New York, and I grew up in New York. This might get a little emotional, and I apologize.
That's all right. We keep it 100 on the podcast.
I appreciate that a lot. I do. I grew up in New York, and all around me in my whole community, everybody was, gambling, drinking, drugging, killing, shooting, stabbing, prostituting, sex, everything. It was all just wild, crazy, demonic living. As I grew up, I watched that. As I grew up, I watched it in my family, in my household, out in the street, everywhere I went. Hell, I used to watch it in the school from teachers that would pull it out of their desk. Yes,
Wow.
That's the truth. That God's honest truth. So I basically graduated into actually doing. Now, I know some people can use that word graduated in different terms, but that's how we used it there. We become part of it by taking your first hit, by taking your first drink. I was about 9 years old, and I had my first drink.
I want people to stop right there and just hear what this brother just said. He said he was 9. Like, let that sit for a second. That's heavy, man.
Yeah.
But it's real.
It's real. It happens.
It happens.
Everywhere.
Right.
And and I'm going to tell you, man, it ain't just blacks. It ain't just Hispanics. It's whites, too. We were the United Nations in New York where I lived. And there was white people poor, there was black people, brown people, and everybody lived that way.
Gotcha.
There was a lot of...
Now, what we talking? What year was this? What you talking?
Oh, my God. 9 years old. We're talking decades.
Okay. I ain't trying to put you out there. Just trying...
Before Jesus' time.
Like New Jack City? Like Nino Brown? Or like after that?
Nino Brown was, if you were to ask some of the guys, Rocky, I'll just use nicknames, okay? There was a guy named Rocky. Nino Brown couldn't hold a candlestick to Rocky.
Got you.
Okay, these guys invented the. I'm serious.
game.
They did.
Got you.
They knew their shit. Sorry.
Yeah, all right, go ahead. Keep on, brother.
Okay. They knew their stuff, and because they grew up in it as well, they became masters of their game. They became masters of it. And it was their fathers that did it. And their uncles. Everybody did. This is what the hell you did to survive. This is how you made it. So this was, I don't know, it was a lot of years for me, though. I mean, I'm not going to do the math, but it was a lot of years. I was 9 years old. And everybody did it. Everybody was drinking. Everybody was getting drunk. Everybody was getting high. Everybody was having sex. That's just what in Harlem, 142nd and Lenox Ave, okay? Everybody did it. You didn't go to school. You didn't.
It was like abnormal not to do it. If you wasn't doing it, people look at you funny.
Exactly. And you get your ass kicked.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? For real. You were going to do it. You were going to be involved. That was it. You know what I mean?
Get down and lay down.
That's it. I remember my first interaction when I was 6 years old. My first interaction to violence. It's it's called From the Trenches of Hell.
Make sure y'all look for that. Where can we find it?
You can find it on Amazon. Or you can go and email me and I can get it to you as well at Blandford Associates 18 at yahoo.com.
And we'll make sure we put that in the show notes as well.
Thank you. So when I was 6 years old, I was in Harlem. I was going to a store, and there was a guy who was a little bit older than me. He wanted my money, and I knew he was going to beat my ass. And I ran up, and back then, it was probably in the 70s maybe. Back then, the buildings were really, in ruins. The steps, everything was raggedy, creaky. There was boards, bricks laying around in the building. It was really run down. Landlords didn't give a shit. Still don't sometimes today, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm running up the stairs to go to my aunt. I was with my aunt because my parents couldn't handle me at 6. Okay? So I had to go live with my aunt in New York. Thought that would straighten me out, toughen me up, so on and so forth. I run up the stairs. This guy's chasing me. I'm banging on the door. They had a little peephole, and my aunt peeped out the peephole. She looked. She opened the crack of the door, said, "Thomas," she said, "you see those boards sitting there?" She said, "You take one of those boards, and you beat the hell out of them. I'm not letting you in." And that's my first taste of violence.
At 6,
At 6.
That's crazy.
Gave you the board and said beat the hell out of him.
Correct. And I did. And you want to know something? I felt good. I'm not lying. It felt like power. And when I moved up and I started drinking, started smoking, hanging out, people heard about it. Word got around real quick. So you automatically, I didn't have to jump into no gang. I was already just there. Like that was it. Like, Thomas, you're the man, And I started learning and training about the streets. I just knew about the game.
So at this point, Thomas, like, one of the things we work on here is like creating pro-social groups, like positive. Where is that in your neighborhood? Do you have any, like, is there places to connect to it? Like
then or now?
Then.
No, hell no. Hell no. When ministers, oh God, I don't want to be judgmental, but because I'm a different person now, but ministers were a joke. They were part of that game.
Wow.
They were part of that game. Even today, we have that. I mean, I'm a minister.
That's real.
And part of the reason why Team Excel and my church wants me to partner with them is because of that. I keep it real. I'm going to tell you the truth. There are ministers that are out there using our sisters for their own selfish gain. Sexually, they use them. All right? That's just a fact. There are ministers who are keeping it on the down low, the DL, with guys, young boys and stuff. This is it's not something new. I ask people, why are you so shocked by this? It's not new, and that's not to be judgmental, because those who are not doing it don't have anything to worry about, but those who do have to be worried, because I'm about to uncover all that. I put it in my 3rd book that's coming out. And anyway, so there was no real place that was really the cops, turned the other way. You paid them off. You can pay them off today. That's not a joke. And you paid them off, they turned the other way. The ministers, you put something in the collection plate, they turned the other way. You know what I mean? They were preaching, these were these little type of, what do you call it, like small churches. I forget.
Sure. Like storefronts.
Right.
Yeah.
They were storefront churches.
Yeah.
And oh, God is good, and then, at night, they're just doing the same old shit, man, So there was really no place you could really turn to. You couldn't turn to your parents because they were doing the same thing. My mother was very sick. My mother, I think, did a lot of praying. She was a Catholic. She believed in the rosary, stuff like that, But she was very sick. She had multiple sclerosis and stuff, so I couldn't really do anything there. My brother was a pimp, He used to wear the fur coats and stuff like that, and Superfly pimp. You know what I mean?
Right.
But people loved him.
Yeah.
In and out of prison. That was my mentor then. That was my mentor. Him, Rocky, Darnell. These guys, man, like they were like the guys that everybody looked up to. They had the money. They had the women. They had the cars, and that was our life. What people need to understand is there's your life, and then there's this life. You're talking about your life. You're not understanding that there's another life outside of your life. And today, there are young people today that are still in that life that can't find a way out.
It's man, I can hear your passion on this, Thomas. And I wanted to pull Gabe in. A couple of things. You were saying, Gabe, how you're looking for a church, right? You're trying to find something that's closer. My man Thomas is talking about, you got to be careful. Some people out here phony. Like they fake. Like, you know what I'm saying? What you see up front is not what you getting sold.
That's the major disconnect why people don't go to churches also, because you hear, so it's like two, right? Because people hear stories like that and then they go they just run with it. Like, oh, I'm never going to church again. Yep. This guy said, right? But but there is good churches out there too. Every church is not like that. Every minister is not like that, right? So you go, like I bounce around from church to church to church, you just got to fill out the vibe, what's good for you, Like Thomas brought me to Connect Church in Ashland, and I think that's a great church. It's a phenomenon. I love it there. There's kids, young adults my age there. There's groups there with people my age I could connect with. We go play ball, we go out to eat.
508.
508, yeah, we do the 508 where it's not even just Massachusetts, 508, like people from Connecticut, Rhode Island, everybody
all
comes.
over.
Everybody comes, right? But it's just a little too far for me to travel and stuff like that. And then the groups that they have, they're Framingham, Ashland, stuff like that. Like I said, it's a great church. I'm just looking for something closer, but that I think a lot of people, when they hear stories like that, like what you've seen and what you've been, and that's why it's amazing also that you was able to put that aside and reconnect yourself, right? Because and I'm pretty sure you didn't reconnect yourself to a church, but you reconnected yourself to God, which brought you.
That's right, Gabe.
To a church.
That's exactly right. And I think it's important, just to piggyback off what Gabe was saying, I think it's important that people separate the two. Right? That man that's preaching, he ain't God.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He has flaws.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
One of them things.
And what I was always encouraged to do is I was always encouraged to listen to what he's saying, not doing what he's doing. And that's biblical, by the way, as well, because what they are saying, it first of all, let me just encourage people. Gabe's right. You go search out the church that's right for you, but also in Acts chapter 17, talks about the Bereans were a more noble character than the Thessalonians. Why? Because they went and searched out to see if what Paul said was true. Mm-hmm. I did my homework. I searched it out. I didn't like the Catholic Church. I was with the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. God bless those brothers for what they do.
Facts.
But I don't agree totally about the religious aspect of everything, the Christian aspect of it. But I do definitely think they are doing something. I made a comment to the Christian church one time. I said, if Allah can save my son from going out in the streets and killing himself or drugging and going to prison, and better than Jesus can, then so be it. That means that Jesus isn't really showing up in the streets, and he's not really showing up in people's lives like he needs to, and that needs to happen through us, you know. So anyway, I would recommend that people go and they do their due diligence, that they actually research the scriptures. And one thing I love about Team Excel, we do this a lot. Steve's here; he'll definitely agree with this, I'm sure. We teach biblical principles, right? Am I right, Steve? Yes. Every class that we have, whether it's on the finances, whether it's on getting to school, whether it's ESL, whether it's business building, whatever we're doing, we pray before every class. It's just mandatory. And we apply biblical principles because it was the Bible, God Jesus Christ himself that saved me, not a man. He used that man as an instrument to help bring me back to Christ.
So that right there, I definitely want to make sure we catch this transition. We have, time left, but we don't want to miss that transition of how the beginning of your story and now where you are.
Yes.
And how you made this transition, Thomas. There was something you said earlier too, man, that I thought was important when you talked about the ministers and pastors being in the way, and they got stuff on the down low, right?
Yeah.
Like they present this person up front, but on the whatever. And I find a lot of the work in that we're doing too, that it's not just them. I think most men do that. I think a lot of us do that. We have this mask that we operate in. Yep. And so I'm wondering, like, even like Gabe, anyone chime in? Like, I'm thinking about. I know one of the things we do sometimes when we talking with our guys, like they got a street name and then we know they government.
Right.
And like when we talking to them, I can tell when they talking from that street lens, and then sometimes I call them by their government. Yo, I'm trying to talk to Ron.
Right.
And you see it shift. And so I'm just like, where I'm trying to go with this whole setup though is like, how much of that was there any tension in you? Something had to be bubbling up in both of y'all to be like, yo, what's happening for me is not what I want. At some point, it had to get to that point where it's like, what I'm doing is not really who I am. And like, what is that tension? Like, how do you?
For sure. So I'll say with me. So you know what they used to call me? They used to call me Pablo. You know what I'm saying? Pablo Escobar. When I was in the streets, when I was doing, they call me Pablo. So every time somebody called me Pablo, I felt like Pablo. You know what I'm saying? That's what I felt like.
Yep.
I had a team running under me. I had the drugs, to supply everybody. I had the money, so it felt, girls calling, when the girls call me Pablo, guys call me, like it fed into that ego.
Yeah,
so that ego was getting fed, and then Gabe was kind of dying down, like like me, like who I was, like me, who I really am, that was dying while I was feeding Pablo. Right. So then when I went to jail, I was still Pablo, but then when I came out of jail, I decided to kill Pablo while I was in jail.
That's good.
Right?
It's powerful.
Yeah.
So then when I came out, now I was Gabe now, right? But Gabe has been put away for so long. So now Gabe is weak now though. Right? So I'm getting out. I'm not doing the same things I used to do before. I'm trying to feed Gabe now. And it's hard, man. It's hard, especially in the beginning, man, trying to get the wheels going, trying to, you know the struggles I've been through, man, trying to find a job when I first got out, trying to,
Facts.
try to do anything, bro. I remember I couldn't even get a job at McDonald's when I first got out.
Yep.
Bro.
That's real.
You know what? And it's interesting because people are quick to criticize. But when you got a brother who's trying to go get a job, but you won't get him a job, and then you want to know why he's robbing your house.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? He's got a family to feed. He's got bills to pay. So sometimes it's best for us to take some of that responsibility and say, what the hell am I going to do to make a change to help somebody like Gabe, the next Gabe that comes along?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For you, what was it? What was it, Thomas? Something.
I was going to kill myself. I was going to kill myself. I had a family.
Kids, everything?
Kids. I was abusive. I cheated on my wife. Then we're divorced now. I mean,
Yeah.
She had every right to divorce me. Damn right. I blame myself, man. I was dirt. I just couldn't stop. I couldn't stop. And I don't recommend anybody doing this, but one day, man, I'm out at a friend's house. We're partying. We're gambling. We're, on the phone with women coming in and out. I went on a 3-day binge. And on that third day, I gave my friend some money. I told him to go get us a rack of beer. Mm-hmm. And the store was right across the street. But it took him over an hour and 45 minutes to get back. Mm-hmm. And I was drinking some vodka and some beer and talking to women. And one day, I just started, that night, I just started thinking, you know what? I'm going to end it. Nobody was there. I was just going to end it. And I said, unless God intervenes right now. And I don't recommend anyone doing that. But I was desperate because I couldn't leave. I couldn't stop, man. And I hated it. I wanted to be a good father. I wanted to be a good son. I wanted to be a good grandson. I wanted to just be that mentor that everybody needed. And I couldn't live up to the standard. And I basically said, okay, I'm going to call Connect Community Church. I said, I want to talk to Pastor Derek Fry. And when I called, it was 9:30 at night. Ain't no church in the world open at 9:30 at night. But there was a woman that answered the phone. 9:30 at night, she answers the phone. Thank you. And she answers the phone. And I swear, Ron, I swear, Gabe, I swear, Steve, I used to think all this kind of crap that I'm about to tell you was just hogwash, just gibberish. Nobody knew who that woman was. And she answered the phone at 9:30 at night. And some people said it had to be your angel.
Wow.
And I really, either that or I was smoking some rough stuff. You know? Because she answered, and then all of a sudden, I asked for Pastor Derek Fry. She said he's not in, but his father's in. I said, I don't want to talk to no white cracker, old man. I didn't want to talk to him. I felt like the son would be more relatable because he was younger. You know what I mean? And she said, well, he's the founder. He trained his son and everything. Can you please hold on? Please hold on. So I said, sure, I'll hold on. And she gave him the phone, and he picked it up as if there was nobody in the middle. He said, hello, this is Pastor, thank you for calling Connecting to the Church. This is Pastor Ernest Fry. You only got 15 minutes. How can I help you? And I said, I'm going to kill myself. Obviously, you just gave me the answer that I asked God for. And he was yelling and screaming and said, wait. And I said, what? Don't you got a place to go? You got 15 minutes. It's going to take longer than 15 minutes. And he said, I was off to the Dominican Republic. He said, I had a plane to catch. He said, but it will wait. Tell me what's going on. And he said, you got to understand something. He said, I'm a pastor. Most people come to me for money. I get that. It's true, because that's what we did. So he said, your case is different. I'll listen. It took us an hour and 45 minutes. We talked.
That man stayed on the phone with you for an hour and 45 minutes.
And he had a plane to catch in 15 minutes. And yet, I'm telling you, he prayed like no man I have ever heard pray in my entire life. And I, like Paul off his high horse, I fell on the floor. And I hit my head. And I could hear in the background, I dropped the phone. I could hear him yelling, Thomas, are you there? And swear to God, it all went away. It was gone. Even the temptation to want to do it again.
Wow.
And here comes my friend. The store was right across the street.
Here he comes. The beer?
He's coming with the beer. He says, Thomas, where you going? I'm getting ready to leave now. He said, where you going? Where you going? I got the beer right here. I said, I'm going home to my wife and my kids. It is over. And I got in my car. Once the Holy Spirit of God gets a hold of you, ooh, man. And I was driving and shaking like I was still drunk. Police car pulls me over. And I swear, first time I ain't never gone to jail.
Right, so you pulled over.
Yep. And
drunk?
No.
Not drunk anymore.
No, not at all.
Oh, just full of the spirit shaking,
like,
pulled over,
ooh, yes,
got you.
Man.
Just had this experience.
Yes, and she said, where you going? It was a policewoman, and she said, where you going? I said, I'm going home to my wife and kids. I swear to God, I know this is God. She said, we'll give you an escort home.
Wow. Ain't nobody giving police escorts home to brown men.
If my ex-wife was here right now, she would tell you the truth. She would say that really happened.
Wow.
They gave me an escort home, went up and knocked on the door because they knew what kind of guy I was, to see if it was safe, if she felt safe, let me in. She said yes.
So you had some run-ins with these officers or whatever.
Oh man,
from before.
I've had run-ins since I was 6.
Got you. They knew you.
They knew me, man.
Got
they
you.
knew me back in New York. They knew me in Florida. They knew me in Massachusetts. The judges know me. They, first name basis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She let me back in, and it's what Gabe was saying. Everything was clean and stuff, but it was the next part was finding that job. Trying to get my education.
What's that struggle like, man? If you
fill out that application, and there's a gap.
And like each time.
So basically, what I wound up doing for me, I wound up talking to a friend of mine who was running a nonprofit for schools, and I wound up getting my high school diploma, so I could fill in that gap.
Thanks.
And my first job was actually at Wendy's, and I got a job at Wendy's, and they liked my work so much they wanted to move me up to management.
Thomas, the only thing I was wondering, when you worked there, did you ever cut the corners off? Because I like the round burgers versus the square. Did you? I would appreciate if you did.
I'm sorry, I didn't, brother. I'm sorry. They wouldn't let me.
But your first job was Wendy's?
It was Wendy's, and they wanted to move me up to management. And so... but the manager there liked me so well, he said, I think you should go to school, and then if you want to go to school for 2 years at least, and then take management courses and then come back. Then my friend, who happened to be a teacher, said to me, he said, you don't have to stop there. You can do any damn thing you want now, you know, if you're going to college. I didn't go to college, though. I started college, and I ran into some friends who had a business, and I started my businesses. I started an online franchise business.
Got you.
And I made some money doing that, and I got involved in ministry, and I wrote a book, Team Excel, From the Trenches of Hell. Then I wrote my second book, From the Trenches of Hell to Freedom. Now I'm on my third book, and one thing led to another, and God said, this is where I'm going to take you, you know? And I never went back to Wendy's or McDonald's or anything. I've always been independent. And one of the things that Connect likes about what we do at Team Excel is that they like that we take the power away from the government. Because what we do with the men and women, by the way, you said something, Ron, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but you said that a lot of men are doing what the pastors do and stuff. But I'm going to tell you something, women do it too.
Real.
I got
all of us. I should have said all of us. Absolutely.
All of us, you know. And the men and women that we work with, we help them find jobs, and we help them to start their own businesses. And what we do is that after 2 years after graduating out of our program, we ask them then to come back and be a mentor to somebody else, you know.
Awesome.
So we turn it around that way, and we keep the government at bay. We're supported by, you know, people giving contributions, personal fund. We actually ask these people who are street people who might be dealing with drugs and stuff, we say, you know what? You got to get some skin in the game, too. I ain't got no money. You got money to get high. We're not going to let you have any way out. There's no way out of this, you know. I started my business collecting cans.
Right.
And I was embarrassed. But my friend said to me, Thomas, you used to get the cans and bottles to get high. You would do that. You would collect the cans and bottles to get drunk. You would do that. So he said, why not do it to start your own business? So to me, there's no escape. There's no way out. There's no excuse. You can go collect the cans and bottles. You can contribute $5, $10, $100. I don't care what you contribute. If you can't do that, then Steve and I were talking last night. We came up with an idea where you're going to invest some time then. You know, start doing some work for us. Start doing some, pass out flyers. Go hang them up. Get involved some way. This isn't a free ride. Life isn't a free ride, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then the great thing about that is that you get to see people actually starting to take pride in themselves, you know, and they get to put it on their resume when they go look for that job now. You see? So that's a good deal, man. I like it. God is good all the time.
Yes, he is.
All the time. And if you are really open and honest and sincere and broken before God, because man is not God, that minister is not God. If you are real with God and you get involved with God's dream, he'll get involved with yours. Once I started realizing that it was people that he cared about, once I started to get that, I had to be concerned about helping other people. That's when God started blessing me. My wife, who is not my wife anymore, but my wife has her husband back. In fact, her and I are great friends now. My children have their father back. Dave used to date my daughter, you know. And one of the things I know that my daughter told me about Gabe, that he liked and respected about me, well, because I was firm, I was straight, I was honest. You know, he liked the way my grandchildren reacted to me. He liked that. He respected that. But that wasn't me, you know, 10, 20 years ago. That wasn't me. You know what I mean?
What made that stick out to you, Gabe? What was it that was like, yo, I like how Thomas is vibing, man?
Yeah, because, man, people bull crap a lot, man. It's just the way life is, man. People bull crap a lot.
Yep.
They like to dance around things. They like to, they like to put blame on other. They don't like to take responsibility for what they do in a situation. They rather point the finger. Well, I did this because that person did that, and I'm this way because that person did that to me. But it's never you're never looking at yourself.
Personal responsibility.
Yeah, so that's what Thomas does to people, and he always, every time someone says bull crap, and no, then, like he'll set it straight, man.
I may say a few other words too.
Right. Both of y'all have said something in your story though, and not directly, but as y'all have talked about it and listening, it's really interesting. Like, God is good, God's miraculous, he does stuff, but y'all was putting in work.
Yep.
I
like to say that the miracle doesn't start when you're praying. The miracle starts when you're doing the work.
Say again.
The miracle doesn't start while you're praying. The miracle starts when you start doing the work.
Got you. So
you gotta work. You gotta work. I'm tired. Go to work.
Faith
I'm
without
sleepy.
works
Go
is
to work.
dead.
Say again.
Faith without works is
Amen.
dead.
Exactly. You got to go to work. You got to go to work. It's time to work. Get
Yeah.
up. Go to work. 4 hours of sleep. Steve will tell you, I get 4 hours of sleep a day. That's it. Because I got to go to work. There's work to do. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. You know, we got to go to work. We can't just dream about it. We got to be about it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And he's right. I mean, that's it, man. If I didn't get up every day and go, you know, first of all, the other thing is, how do you perceive what you're doing? You know, a lot of people, I've ran into people, I'm sure you guys have, where they're not even happy with what they're doing. You could turn that around, you know, and become happy. You can actually psych yourself up and be happy by what you're doing. And if you can't, then get the hell away. Go find what makes you happy, you know. But again, don't just pray about it. Be about it. Don't just talk about it. Be about it. Go do it, you know. And don't stop until you get there and then do it again.
Right.
You know, do it again. The Bible says in Matthew 28, therefore go, make disciples. That's a command. So go find someone, bring somebody in along beside you, you know, that will give you a sense of joy. That will give you a sense of peace. You want to say something, Steve? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you think? Man, this has been so good, man.
Amen.
What do you think, right, is, or what is different challenge? What is different for these young brothers now than it was for you when you was going through it? Or is it's the same game?
I was going to say, you know what? Only the names.
All right.
Only the names. I was called Running Wonder, by the way. Because I'd be all over the place, man. You know? I'm always chasing the money. I was always chasing the money, you know. But nothing really much has changed. I think now, though, I guess now, without no disrespect for anybody that's in the game, I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I think more now, it's more of a, for lack of a better term, kind of more punkish.
Okay.
Back in the day, you would stand toe-to-toe with somebody.
Got you.
You know what I mean? And you knew who was coming at you.
Okay.
Nowadays, it ain't so much like that, you know?
It's not like that now?
No, you would never know who was coming at you. I mean, they blow a bullet in
now.
there. Yeah, now. Back then, those guys would do it right in your face, man. You know
That's
what I mean?
true? How you feel about that's like right now, Gabe? That's kind of like how what you feel. I know you wasn't around when he was 6, but like,
Yeah, not for. I've heard stories. Even my dad, talking to my dad and stuff. My dad says the same thing. You know,
Right.
he always says, "Oh, you guys are little punks. You
Yep,
know, you guys don't want to take a butt whipping. You know, you guys are scared to, you know, throw your hands. You know, because nowadays everybody's just getting shot, man. I mean, we still nowadays people still do fight, but bro, if somebody got a gun, they're not gonna put it to the side and be like,
Right.
"Oh, well, I'm gonna fight you with my hands." Like,
Yep.
you know, people that carry the guns is, you know, they usually kind of a little bit more scary. You
Yep.
know, they,
Yep.
you know, they might know in their mind that they can't fight, so I'm gonna carry this because ain't nobody gonna beat me up. Nobody's gonna knock me out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and I think it's a little back then because my dad always used to tell me, "Yo, if you get into a fight, just fight it. If you lose, you lose, bro. But
Right.
at least you live to you're gonna see him again. You could try, you could fight him again
Right,
every
right.
time you see him,
right.
Right.
you know. But I think people are scared nowadays a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. I'd like to see that more. If you're gonna, you know, if we got to throw hands, we got to throw hands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'd like to see that more. Then throw some hands, and then let's talk about whatever we need to talk about afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
We got so it's interesting you say that. There's some folks in the city of Worcester doing some great stuff over at Camp Get Right, man. Gloves up, guns down. They're doing some stuff like that, so you can kind of and there's a. And, go ahead.
you say guns up, gloves down.
My fault. No. Don't. Yo. Nah. Don't do that.
Gloves up.
Put gloves up, guns
Right.
down. Yeah. Nah, that is not the game. Can't get right. I apologize. That is not what they doing over there. That is not.
Right.
My man Darren Andrews and the whole squad is not doing that. Golly, they coming for me now. With their gloves up. But
Right.
what all do we got about 5 minutes left, man. If you had a message that you could give, I'm sure you do. The participants you're working with, the young brothers we're working with they're in a struggle right now, right? They can't see it.
Yep.
They right there with you, like, yo, like where you was. I don't want to do this no more, but I don't even know no other way.
Right.
I'm trying to figure it out, man. This stuff is beast, man. Like, if you had a message for him, bro, Tom, what would you tell him?
You have no other choice. You're either gonna figure it out, or you're gonna die. And if you're going to die, die for the right reasons. Life is going to be a struggle no matter what we do, what we choose to do. It's always going to be a struggle. All of us have it. I was telling my daughter, Asia, yesterday, you get to choose your own battles, you know. Think about your family. Think about, see, we have to understand something. In Genesis, God said, let us make man. Now watch this. How did he say, let us make man? In our image and in our likeness. And let them have dominion, okay, or authority or power, depending on the version that you read. So it's not impossible. We have to understand that. That's what is in God is in us, okay? And we can walk above our circumstances. It is in us to do that. You will go through some shit. Of course, Jesus went through some shit, okay? You're going to go through some shit. But you can beat that shit. You can go through it. Just keep going. I remember, the story of Jesus on the boat. And he told the disciples, we're going to the other side.
Right.
And then the storms came, the water and everything was coming in the boat. They go wake up Jesus. Man, he's trying to get a nap, and they trying to wake him up. And Jesus looked at him and said, what the hell did I tell you fools? I said, we're going to the other side.
Right.
Right. You're going to the other side, people. My brothers, my sisters, listen. Go to the other side. Keep going through till you get to that other side. There is another side that you can get to. Yes, you will go through some fire. Team Excel, Legendary Legacies, all these profits, these businesses that you're naming, they will go through it with you. I tell people in Team Excel, we will go through the fire with you, but you will go through it. You have to go through it because it only makes you better. It only makes you stronger for the next battle that's coming along. But the battle doesn't stop. It doesn't. Can you do it? Yes. Will you do it? I don't know.
Hey, on that, there ain't nothing else to say. I want to thank you, Thomas, for coming in.
I
Make sure
appreciate
you make sure you take a look in the show notes to get a link to the book in Team XL Ministries and the stuff that Thomas is doing. Steve, next time don't talk so much. And we appreciate you, Gabe, as well, and everybody being on here. And we want to remind all our listeners, we thank you for tuning in and support this work, man. This is really critical work. And it's long-term work, as you heard. And part of why we had our brother on here is to talk about how much that is needed and all of your support that goes around to help Thomas's ministry, our ministry, the work we're all doing to help support those that are on the margins. And so keep doing that. And remember, until next time, be legendary.
Sir.
Amen.